Hello everybody, 26 here. Welcome to our fourth batch tutorial. Today we are going to go over variables again and go over user input as well. And we are going to learn how to get info from files / give info to files. But first, just one thing I wanted to point out from last episode. In our practice, I made a practice 4.batch here. And I used the title command, which I had used in our practice 3.bat we made last episode, which makes it so that the title is there. So right here we have the hi program. It says hi to us. So here it says hi. At echo off, pause, it says hi. So it says first it sets echo to off, then it says the title to the hi program, and then it prints hi to the screen and waits. So this title we used in our practice 3.bat. So let's get started on everything else then. Okay, for the final time this episode, we are going to review variables. So as you probably remember, you set a variable by going set/a, or well, we'll learn that set/a is for numbers. And it's for addition and subtraction and multiplication, just all the math operations. But we can actually use set, just set, for letters and non-adding things. So if we were to change this just to this, so here we set number 1 equal to 11 plus 2. Now if we had set/a number 1 equals 11 plus 2, the answer would be 13. So it should say 13 right here. But if we just use set, it won't do the math operation. It will actually say 11 plus 2. Okay, so that is the other thing we had to learn about variables this episode, just what I wanted to show you. Okay, so yeah, we will be using set and set/a. And then also a reminder, set/p looks for input and saves it in number 1. So if with the same statement, it would actually say 11 plus 2 on the screen, and whatever we would input would be saved in number 1. So let's try that now. 11 plus 2, and not that that's really a question or anything, but whatever you input, it'll print it out. So we'll just call this set here. So that'll be the quick review on variables, and also practice 3, which we made yesterday. Remember, you input your age. You would input your age, and it would ask you what your age is, and then you input your age, and it would say if you're a baby, a kid, a teenager, whatever. Okay, so that's what we did last episode. Now let's move into this episode. Okay, now we're going to move on to saving variables. So I made this little folder called Practice 5 Money, because basically we're going to make it so that you can spend money, and each time you go back into the program, you will have the amount of money you had before, like when you left. So because I made this little example here, and the code is like this. It sets echo to off, and then it gives you $100 here. And then it tells you how much money you have, and then it asks you how much you'd like to spend. So you input the amount of money you'd like to spend, and then it subtracts the spending from the money you have. And then it says you now have a certain amount of money, however much you have. So, but the reason here that you don't need to have this in percent signs and these variables are in percent signs is because it knows that this is going to be a variable. But this could be a number, so it doesn't know that unless you put it in percent signs. So we are going to try this out right here. I called it example. So you have $100. How much would you like to spend? I'll spend 50 of it, which means that I now have $50. And then how much would I spend now? I'll spend 2 more. So I have $48. But if I close this program and I open it back up, I have $100 again. That can be a problem, and that's why there is a way to save things, because you wouldn't want, basically, if you weren't able to save anything, if you were playing a game or something, you would close the game and later come back in. You would be right back at the beginning, and basically nothing would have been achieved. So I'm going to teach you how you can save variables. Okay? So let's do that. Okay, so now we just gotta figure out how to get a variable from a file and give variables to files. So this command right here, how to get a variable from a file, you have to go set/p. This is the same command you use for getting user input. Then we define our variable. It knows it's a variable, so you don't have to use percent signs. Then we use equal to, and lesser than sign, and then the name of the file we're getting it from in quotation marks. Now the reason we need the lesser than sign is to let the computer know that this part right here is a file name and not the name that we're calling the string. Because if we just have it like this, it'll display hi.txt, and then you have to input something. So we need that to actually know that it's getting something from hi, okay? Or from hi to hi. Now if we want to add a variable to a file, we have to actually use echo and then the variable in percent signs, or if we're just using a word, then we can just type the word without the percent signs, and then it would put that word into the document. But normally you're going to want to put a variable in the document. Okay? So yeah, so hi. So this will basically send the variable hi to hi.txt, and it'll add it to that file. These two mean added to the file. It'll make a new line and it'll put this variable in. There may be things already in it. It'll just add a new line and put it in. But what this does here, it actually makes it so that it replaces everything in the document with this variable. So that's normally what you're going to want to use. Okay, and that is what we're going to be using to fix this example.bat today. Okay? So we're going to want to put @echo off at the beginning, because it'll mention something about the remark statements otherwise if we don't. So we need to put the @echo off at the beginning there. Now we are going to use this instead of that to set the variable money equal to the amount of money that's in the folder or the file money.txt. So a text document. Okay? And then it'll display the amount of money you have based on what's in the file. Then it'll ask you how much you'd like to spend, and it calculates all that. And then it says you now have whatever amount of money you have after you spent all that. And then it goes pause, and then it would go back to start. But what we want it to do is replace the file with the money variable after the money's been subtracted. So this way we can close the file and open it back up, and it'll know that we've spent money from the thing. Because before we could spend it, close the file, open it up, and we'd have more money again. Okay? So now it knows that. Okay? So on the money, let's say we have $999,000. Okay? So we open up money. You have $999,000. How much would you like to spend? Well, I'll spend $199,000, which will leave me with $800. So I now have $800,000. Okay? I can close the file. you'll see in the text document. Had that open one time, didn't I? Okay. So you'll see now in the text document. Oh, I spent a whole bunch more. So now you'll see I just spent $900,000. But whatever. I now have $199,000. Okay? And if I spent $99,000, I have 100,000. Yeah. Okay? So you kind of get the point there. If I were to change this to 2 greater than signs, as you remember from me talking up here, it will actually just add that amount into there, so I have 100,000, and then I spent 1,000, I have $99,000, but it actually just adds the new amount in there, okay? And we don't want it to do that. So that's the reason why we just have 1 greater than sign, okay? So that is pretty much everything this whole episode is about, okay? Make sure to practice variables, make sure to practice all this, make sure I will actually leave this in the description so you can copy this and use it in some of your programs, okay? So, yeah, we are getting a bit closer to starting to work on games. In a few episodes, we will make our very first game. Okay? So, yeah, I'll leave this in the description. Have a good day. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Private message me if you have any questions or anything. Whatever. Have a good day, and see you next week in the next episode. Bye.